Hello, everyone, and welcome to my show. Today, my guest is a very interesting, very accomplished person, Adolf El Assal. He's an award-winning filmmaker who was born in Egypt and now lives in Germany. And his work spans over 20 features, documentaries, and shorts. He's won numerous awards, and his hit Sawah was the first majority-Luxembourg film on Netflix. Founder of Wady Films and Edgy Films, he bridges Europe and the Middle East through bold cross-cultural storytelling. I should have met you a long time ago.
Really?
I do this from the U.S.
Yeah.
area. I was born in Iraq, but we're neighbors, so
Mhm.
I'm very impressed by your work, and I read your book. You recently published a book. It's called, well, we'll get to your book a little bit later, but How Not to F Up Your Film. And honestly, from the very beginning, I love
Yeah.
that advice that you give. Yes. So
Marketing.
especially starting out and you know what, not just for people. Right now I'm working on my third feature, and even for me it's helpful. So just but let's go back to your story a little bit. You were born in Egypt, and you've obviously immigrated to Germany. So tell us a little bit about that journey and how has it influenced your filmmaking?
Yeah, thank you very much. So, yeah, like my story is a bit special because I was born in Egypt, in Alexandria, Egypt. And are you still there? I can't see you. I don't know. No, it's
Oh,
cut.
it's okay. I have the screen on you.
Because things I'm just confused here. Okay, good. So let's
Yes,
have it.
yes. It's just I highlighted you since you're telling your story.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, so I was born in Egypt, but as soon as I was born, we moved to the United Arab Emirates. So where I spent the first 6 years of my life living there in one of the smaller Emirates, like Fujairah, like that's one of the smaller ones. And then at the age of 6, my parents did a trip around Europe, and they stopped in Luxembourg, which is a very tiny country in the middle of Europe between Germany, France, and Belgium. And they loved it so much, and they decided to start their life from scratch there. So since the age of 6, 7, that's where I lived in Europe, and I spent most of my life there. So I finished high school in Luxembourg first. I learned all the languages there because we speak like 4 languages fluently every day, like Luxembourgish, French, German, and English. And then on top of that, I'm adding also Arabic. And yeah, so growing up there, we're actually the only Arab family. Let's say one of the only Arab families in the country.
Oh,
Yeah. So there was no Arab community at all, and Egyptian, not even to talk about it. And so I had to adapt myself to because you have a lot of Italians, a lot of Portuguese people. So I always had to adapt myself according to my identity. And then step by step, yeah, I discovered filmmaking, and that has shaped a little bit like my filmmaking style and what I produce as well. Has a lot to do with my own upbringing in Europe, and I try to talk about subjects like that I know about most. So mostly about identity, immigration, integration, languages, travel. So those are subjects that are really like inspire me a lot as a filmmaker.
I mean, that is so important. We often talk about there being a void in this area, especially for Middle Easterners, but I think that this is probably, it might be less true than we think, because when I saw your work, and there are other filmmakers out there, but your work is really exceptional in what you're trying to do. And were you influenced by is there anybody in your family? Because Egypt is the Hollywood of the Middle East. So are you related to Adil Imam, Fatih Hamam, or any of the major actors? No, you're not. But you just
Not
have
at all.
that Egyptian blood in you.
Just Egyptian.
I was born in Baghdad, and I left when I was 9, and we came to the United States, and we were influenced a great deal by as everybody else in the Middle East, but by the Egyptian cinema and the plays from that long ago. I mean, that's really what we played. And I did not know that the Arabic Egyptian was a different accent that not everybody knows. I grew up with it, understanding it so fully. I thought, oh, everybody must just know it because it's Arabic, but it's a whole new language. And the cinema there, especially in my opinion, in the older days was incredible. So You said about your films, they explore themes of identity, belonging, and resilience. So, how have you, navigated these multiple cultures, um, and that influence the series that you tell? Like, how do you manage to do that? I know sometimes there are topics. I found this myself, as a filmmaker, an Arab American, a Chaldean American filmmaker. I found that there are some topics, especially from our communities, sometimes we don't address them, but I think they're very important, especially like women issues, in my opinion. How do you navigate through that and then be able to tell the story and be authentic without the interference of, different voices or different political or religious arenas that exist?
Mhm. Yeah, like, but coming back to my Egyptian part, like I have zero roots to any filmmaking or art in general. Like most of my family are doctors, engineers, pharmacists. I have four sisters. Out of the four sisters, three of them are pharmacists. I'm the oldest brother, so so for us, like I didn't even grow up with Egyptian or films or whatever. Like I discovered films at a very late age, like at like 22. That was the first time I went to cinema, and
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Is
and
that really your
yeah,
influence? Wasn't so? Not only are you not related to the actors,
yeah,
but
exactly.
you didn't even take that in. It was through the Western cinema that brought you to filmmaking.
Yeah, like because when I discovered filmmaking, it became like when I went to cinema first time, like it was really something that helped me to find myself somehow because I was always lost. I really didn't know what to do with my life, and also like I had so many stories to tell, and because no one listened to me, let's say it like that. I don't want to be victimized whatsoever, but no one understood, let's say, my language or my background, or also this uprooted coming from Middle East coming to Europe. Like I'm pretty sure you experienced the same. So it's really hard to adapt yourself somehow, especially if there's not a real community around. And in my case, like I was really just like working towards it. I was watching a lot of films, and I was discovering all sort of films. Like as soon as I discovered film, like I was watching like 4 or 5 films a day, became like a real drug. And that's what really told me like I have to become a filmmaker and to tell stories that are so genuine and so real to myself. And I'm coming from Luxembourg. I'm actually also lucky, as I said before. We speak so many languages, so we are always in touch with different cultures and mentalities. Because the French culture is completely different from the German one, for example, okay, or the Anglo-Saxon one from the let's say like Southern Europe, like Italian, Spanish, and so on. So I always had to adapt myself, and so that's something that I'm trying to put forward in my films all the time, and in my work because I feel that's the only way how I can express myself. And because my history, like I know a lot about also like I talk a lot about racism and all those subjects, of course, because I went through that like on the perfect profile, like for random checks at airports. So I'm so used to it. And if you see my name, Adolf El Assal, like it's the weirdest thing you can
I
figure
know
out.
it's
You can hear about.
the Adolf and the Asal part.
Yeah.
Asal, by the way, like for anybody that's not Arabic
Mhm.
background, it's honey.
Mhm.
So and Adolf is that's another story. So
And
that
I'm in Germany.
combination, you're very, very, yeah, in Germany, you're very very multidimensional. Let's just
Mhm.
say.
Yeah.
Well, you said something that I caught. That I think what attracted me about the book is you said not to be a victim. I love that your book applies to any filmmaker and that you did not play a victim, which I think that if we empower ourselves when we are
Mhm.
trying to do any task, any project, honestly, some of the advice you give can just, because I'm an author as well,
Mhm.
and I felt like your advice can apply to any career. But one of the things that you emphasize in the book, by the way, your book is available as an ebook and print. How Not to F Up Your Film. It's available on Amazon, and you emphasize the operational side of filmmaking, which is often overlooked. So, just so that we can share this with the audience, why do you think this is such an important aspect, and what do you hope that your readers will take away from it?
Yeah, because Singers, yeah, I wrote a book actually out of my heart and based off on my own experiences because I've done it all. My first film was a feature film. Like I did with no budget, no script, and then it went on to be screened at the Berlin Film Festival in 2008. And since then, I've done everything. Like I've done from bigger budget projects, like even like major projects for streamers and so on. And so I gained a lot of experience over the of the years, and also a lot of people contact me all the time, especially young filmmakers, because they are stuck. They don't know how to move forward because they never find the right tips. Let's say it like that. On how to develop a story, how to to be themselves, because we focus way too much either on the financial part of filmmaking. Of course, like if you want to make films, there's a financial part, but it's not the main part. And then they focus a lot on the technical part as well. And that's something because for me, I went to film school. I went to film school, which was an amazing experience, but I learned more on the field than at film school. Okay, just by taking a camera and shooting and telling a story. And some people they are good at it. Okay, they're natural storytellers. Others they learn step by step, like they learn by reading or by watching films. And so on. And sometimes we focus way too much on like I'm talking about writing now, for example, we focus way too much on structure, on character development, on relationships, on conflicts, and so on. And because so many young filmmakers they come up to me and they ask me for advice in that field, I always tell them the first thing I ask them, what is your story? What is your point of view? What do you want to tell? I don't care. Like what is I really don't care. Like how your character, like how he looks like, or where he's from, whatever. I just want to know what is the story, okay, and how it's gonna go from place A to finish at place B, and that's one of the things that I try to bring forward in every part of filmmaking because my experience is so wide, like from writing, developing, like financing, directing to post production, distribution, marketing. So I've seen it all somehow because I've touched a little bit of everything. And over the years, because I don't want to clap myself on the shoulder, but I'm pretty sure I'm can say I was self-made somehow because I couldn't find the right support somewhere. So I had to learn really the hard way. And thanks to all this experience, that has brought me now to the level where I am today, where I can share my experience to young people, and to maybe to encourage them and to give them hope that they can tell their stories and to be themselves first of all. And because if you're yourself, you're gonna attract everything that you that you wish for, but you really have to believe in it and not to do something for someone else. It has to be for you, like as an artist, it's for you first of all, and then everything else will come into place.
Yeah, like in the way I read it, it's really helping the filmmaker and not having like a back door or like making excuses. Another quote that I really liked that you said, what's holding you back isn't the lack of equipment, but the lack of clarity, confidence, and commitment. So, that's another thing where we're taking accountability for ourselves. Really, I do a lot of writing workshops, and one thing that we emphasize is just at the end of the day, it's what you do with your time, with your energy, how you use it. Somehow or another, you're going to end up making a way to make it happen.
Mhm.
But, if fear stops you, it's not because Hollywood is being run by a certain group. It's not because of this or that. Yeah, there are factors that exist, and it's true. But at the same time, that's what I got from your book is that just empowerment where people can really, if they follow a certain structure, they are able to make their movies happen. But how can a filmmakers overcome those barriers, especially when starting out? Like we're talking, you've done so many films. I'm working on my third feature. I've done other creative projects. But for somebody who's starting out, so you're saying, pointing out, confidence, commitment, clarity, what do they need to do that? And you said they come to you with the story and you tell them, okay, don't worry about the characters, don't worry. But aside from that, like how can they strengthen themselves, who they are into their field?
Yeah, because everything is accessible today. It became really democratic to make films, so everyone has an iPhone or a smartphone in their pocket. They just need to to take it out and just experiments with it. Like even James Cameron said, like just take out a camera, whatever camera you find, film your friends, and you're already a filmmaker. Okay, whatever the result is, okay, and that's how you develop yourself, and that's really really important. To believe in that, and for me it's really I have a feeling that telling stories, it can come naturally because we are used like humans as storytellers from birth on. Okay, like we always tell stories like all the time, and sometimes we really get stuck by I don't know, like by formats and so on. But I have a feeling we are now in a like let's say a time where film became like it's not more luxury anymore. It's not something for specific type of people in society. It's really open for everyone, and to differentiate yourself is how you're going to tell your story. That's the key to it. Okay, like and also to have the courage to tell it. Okay, because I'm saying also out of my own experiences, like I was so stuck with myself that I was really scared. Sometimes I was thinking too much. Like I didn't think too much out of the box. I was really into trying to do things that I learned at film school, but then I figured out that my work wasn't on the level that I really wanted it to be. Because I just can tell you an example. The very first film I did in my life, I'll say it like that. It was because I didn't study film at the beginning. I studied media and culture studies, so it was like more anthropology, sociology, psychology, and so on. And we had a course there like about like journalism, where you had to tell a story, like to learn like so also about creative writing and so on. But and of course, like we had also an assignment where we had to shoot a small report or small documentary on a specific subject. And I was studying in the UK back then, and I was really like I was so lost because I really didn't know what to tell. Like because I came from Luxembourg, I just arrived in this new country in the UK, and I never used a camera before and so on. And I just went back to Luxembourg, the country where I grew up in. And then once I was there, figured out actually I could tell a story about Luxembourg because most people don't know about that place. Because Luxembourg is such a small country, it's so secretive country as well. Okay, it's the richest country in the world. Okay, but most people, yeah, like so there's lots of stereotypes towards that. So they think everyone is rich, they have big cars, big houses, lots of money in their account, and so on and so on. But I didn't grow up in that. I come up from the lowest working class you can even imagine. Okay? And so I tried to tell them a story based on my own experiences. Just taking, I bought a camera for like let's say $100, and I started filming my friends that I grew up with, most people from the working class and the different nationalities and so on, and I did documentary on hip hop culture in Luxembourg. So and I was just filming my friends, just telling the stories and so on, and then I edited it together. Like I learned editing almost like when I was there at university. I cut this film together. It was like a 10-minute piece. I showed it in class, and my lecturer, like he was so impressed by it because he saw that I could tell a story where there was a beginning, middle, end, with some conflict, some relationship. Everything was there, and it was entertaining. Okay, and he saw something new that he's never seen before. Because with my film, I managed to break stereotypes. And that has really inspired me then. But then this guy, this lecturer, like himself is a filmmaker, documentary filmmaker, and he told me you're a real storyteller, and like I would be very happy that I support you. I think you know how to tell stories, and then I had the best mark in class, and so on, and that has really pushed me to move
and
forward.
I think but you remind me too that there's a part in the book where you say like it usually takes for somebody to finish a film rather than just the script sitting there collecting dust. Obviously you didn't say that part, but basically it's either that you either let your script collect dust or you make it into a film. But you said it normally takes like one person that's pretty stubborn that's going to make sure. So I think that you probably have that in you as well, rather than just feeling like, okay, I can tell a story, but hey, do I want to put all that technical and all the work? Although nowadays, you're right, it is so much easier. I was looking into the different films that are being made, and there was a whole entire feature that's on Netflix that was shot on an iPhone. And it's almost like an experiment to see, and you see it, and it's a decent movie. And I wasn't as concerned about the iPhone being used, but I had more of whatever about the story than I did about what was used to do it. And I've also recently I watched on Netflix Titans, The Rise of Hollywood. And you see how everybody that started out not that long ago, it's only like a little bit over 100 years ago, when all these different filmmakers started from scratch, started with these short clips that were like a couple of minutes, and then they started extending them to longer. And a lot of the people had to invest their own money into what later became Paramount Studios, Universal Studios. All these stories that you hear, you're thinking like we sometimes give credit or power to the industry, but nowadays, especially with technology, we are able to be that voice. And the reason they got to where they got is because they started from zero, one at a time where you had to go through them to get where you needed to go. But as we're now finding out, we don't need to do that anymore. And that gets me to the next quote that I think is also very powerful. You say that you don't need a crew of 50, you just need the right 5. So we call the films that I did, we call like what we had, like a skeleton crew, basically. We did. Looking back, I'm glad we had that. At the time, it was kind of like, oh, we got to do this and I got to do this. And I was wearing all these hats. But then when it was done, looking back, I thought, well, good thing, because sometimes when you have too many people, you have too many opinions going in your head. And then also when you are the one managing everything, I ended up learning things that I was not planning to learn, but that was very incredibly helpful for me, that even for the next film, if the role was given, the task was given to somebody else, or the position, I need to be familiar with what happens into that role. I can't, it's not something that I should just give it to the person not knowing what is an associate producer, what is a line producer, what exactly do they do, and why do they have to fill out these kind of forms, and what forms can you just really do without, but what permits that you need to get. And if I wasn't hands-on, I wouldn't feel as confident now working with my next film. But maybe you can share about that, and that takes away the fear of people thinking like you need this 100 crew members on the set and all this drama. Actually, because we filmed on during COVID, well, it was during the pandemic, so you were restricted how many people can be on the set. So that was also a gift in disguise, a blessing in disguise, because I don't think it would have served us just to have more and more people. But what are your thoughts on that, to kind of dispel the idea so that people can feel more empowered to make their films?
Yeah, like as I said, like everything is available today, and even years before, like when I did I can tell you also another anecdote. Like I did one feature film, I was a one-man crew on the whole film. Like I shot it in like 12 days in 5 countries with people that I met on the street. And in the credits, you only see my name and the composer. So we were 2 people, okay? But the thing is, what's really important, as I always stress, is it's a story that counts. And if you have the luxury to have people, the talented people who will help you to do, like to create your vision, that's incredible. Like it's a real privilege. Okay? But what I'm really trying to say is, like it's actually a very good exercise if you if you have the smallest crew possible. Like for me, I can work either myself taking camera and film something. Like last week, for example, I just shot a documentary. The whole week, just using a small Osmo Pocket camera. I don't know if you know that camera. Like it's a very small with a gimbal and so on, super stable, 4K quality and so on. And then I shot this film like a mockumentary where it had like a little script that was improvised. Like there was a lot of improvisation, but it had a storyline. So I filmed that on my own, like over the past week. I was carrying the camera, moving, directing the actors, the sound, and so on. Everything I did on my own, like really run and gun. And the footage looks really good. And I hope I have a story. Like if I don't have a story, I will do some reshoots and so on. But it will not take me a lot of money or time and so on. That's all this is doable. But it's really important. Really understand like what everyone's job is as well. Like if you have a real crew, it's really important also to deal with them, because it's a director. You're not how can I say it? You're like the captain of the boat, so you have to bring the boat to destination somehow, and it's very, very important to understand this. But if you're starting out, like in order to get this confidence to deal with a bigger crew, it's always good to deal with smaller crews. Okay, and also with not too much experienced actors as well. That's also important, because that way you can be all on the same level, because everyone is learning while doing. Because really, that's the school where I try to push in that, like, you really have to do it. Like, you have to fail in order to understand how things function, and that's how you do things better. And you know how to do it differently, and you learn also, like, how to structure a story, how to understand, like, the meaning of conflicts and character development and so on. And, so those are things that I stress on sometimes, like, that I really know it's doable. Okay, I don't want to say that everyone can do that, but it's a skill that takes time to develop. And,
Well,
so it's really
but
just
in
about
your case,
having confidence in yourself. Yeah, Tom?
but you've gone beyond just making films. So in your case, you're the founder of Wady Films and Edge Films,
Mm-hmm.
and you manage complex productions and multi-million euro financing. So what
Mm-hmm.
is the key to, aside from, so once, okay, you're making the film, and even in the process, there's still a business aspect of it. What advice would you give in regards to balancing creativity with the business side of filmmaking?
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that, and can you succeed at that?
Yeah, like the creative part, like, like when I became producer, mostly, like, I will not hide it, but it's more about, like, really, like, to have a stability. Because once you have a small stability where like, you can pay your rent, and you can survive without having to think too much about it. Okay, that will help you to be creative, like, be completely free, like when you're writing or when you're directing, and so on, and you'll be much less under pressure. And so for me, I'm navigating between both worlds. So yesterday I had two premieres in Berlin for two films that I co-produced, for example. Okay, and those budgets between, let's say, 2.5 million to 3.5 million euros. Okay, so it's up to $4 million productions. Okay. And last week I shot a film without any budget. So the thing is, like, I'm trying to navigate both worlds, because I don't want to have, like, a side job in anything else, because that will distract me from being creative. Like, I'm really want to try to be in this, and I struggled really a lot. Like, just 10 years ago, I was living in like 12 years ago, I was living in a car. Just to tell you, that's how broke I was. But I believed so much in myself. I said, I want to make it, like, somehow. Okay, and to do it, and I can say it worked out somehow. Okay, and that's the thing that
You made
like,
your
it's really
dream
important.
come true.
A dream come true, yeah. But my biggest dream is just
Yeah.
to be happy in life. Like, at the end of the day, I would just want to be happy and healthy. That's how
Well, you
it's.
made it come true. Well, congratulations for the
Thanks.
premieres. Congratulations to all your work. And I know that I visited your website, and you do offer filmmakers the opportunity. You do consulting,
Mhm.
and there's opportunities for people aside from consulting. There's, I think, some other opportunities if people want to work with you. Do you want to share a little bit about that? So,
Mhm.
how can people connect with you if you're available for it?
Yeah, like, I'm open for consulting. Something that I started recently. Where really I'm very happy to, like, to help filmmakers wherever they are, and at any stage of their career. So I'm always happy to help them with that, because I said, like, I have, like, in my books, I have all those different steps of making films. So I have experience in all the different fields, like, from development all the way to distribution and sales. So maybe I can help any filmmakers by giving them the right tips. And plus, my point of view is different than from other, because I'm from Europe. So in Europe, there's a different way of working. So it's more the artistic part than the financial part. Okay.
Oh my God.
So.
I grew up, we ran a video store, a family video store for years. I
Mhm.
actually managed it for 12 years. And I
Mhm.
was the nerd, the total nerd that only watched, not only, but loved foreign films. But we
Mhm.
didn't carry them because people did not rent them regularly. So
Mhm.
we had this video store, and I'd have to go to the library to rent all these European films that I
Mhm.
absolutely loved because of the artistic quality. And I I always said, you know, you never know what's going to happen in a European film at the end. You don't know the story the whole time you're on edge, even if it's like a total drama. It seems like total boring drama. It's not boring because you don't know what's going to happen. Whereas more of the commercial films, especially in the US, I feel like I'll be watching a movie with my husband and I've guessed so many times I was going to, he go, how do you know? And I said, because it's this formula where in the Europe, they follow the story more than the formula. So yeah. So where can people check out, what's your website? If people want to go check out your website.
Yeah, so there's just my name, Adolf El Assal, one word.com. And also very soon I will also I'm preparing a course as well, like an online course where I'm going to give really very deep tips on filmmaking, on every step of making a film. So it's going to be very direct, and I also want to do also like live webinars and so on, so people can also ask questions, and I can give them also case studies based on my own projects, so they can see how I did it. So that's my goal. Like really,
when do you think this course is going to be available approximately?
I don't know. Maybe in a couple of months. Like I need to record it first. So
please reconnect with me. Okay, reconnect with me so I can let people know about it, because I also love to promote. I love to promote filmmakers and writers, of course, being that myself. However, I also like to provide opportunities for people to learn through these kind of skill, opportunities and teachings. And so basically we have our half an hour, and I don't know do you have anything like the last thing that you want to share with us, anything else before we go?
No, thank you very much. Like I'm very happy. Like I'm always happy to talk about my experience and so on, to share it with people. Okay. And
Adolf, any chance you'll come to the US? Have you ever come to the US?
Yeah, I come quite a lot, but more to Canada. I have a lot of family in Canada. Toronto,
we're neighbors. We're neighbors with Canada.
Yeah.
We're Michigan. It depends where you are, but if you're in Windsor, we basically can drive there. But next time, seriously, let's connect. I hope that next time that you're in the US or nearby in Canada, let me know. I'd love to connect with you.
So are you in Michigan?
I'm in Michigan, which is it's like a 45-minute drive where I'm at to Windsor, but a little bit further drives as you go like to Toronto and such. But but Michigan, I don't know if you're aware, Michigan has the largest population of Arab Americans in the United States. Yes, and then it has so I'm Chaldean, and so I was born in Iraq, but I'm of Chaldean heritage, and Michigan has the largest population of Chaldeans in the world.
So because one of my best friends is Chaldean as well.
Oh, see? Okay, so you're gonna,
so I know the community very well.
Know when you come, you're not gonna be surprised by our we basically we have so much of the same traditions, but when I mentioned that is because really this is the hub for us in the US. This is the hub of where we can share our stories, where we can continue our traditions. And my feature film, both my films, but Pomegranate, which just came out this year, was shot right here in this, in what's called Little Baghdad, in a city that's called Little Baghdad. So that's why I really loved when I looked up what you did, is I love what you're trying to bring forth. I think that's so beautiful. And so I'm going to be watching out as you continue doing that. And but yeah, if you're ever in the area, let's connect. Okay.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you everybody for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Okay, bye.